Hey guys. So maybe you remember my Pac-Man frog, Zacharie.
Bonjour mes amis, my name is Freya, and I have a new family member I'd like to introduce you to.
Okay everyone. This is Zacharie, and he's my new Pac-Man frog. I don't even remember when I got him. Must have been a few years ago. He was maybe the size of a $quarter when I got him, and he was just under the size of my palm when I buried him today. When we lost power in the snowstorm, it got really cold in my room, so cold that my window broke. It became impossible to regulate the temperature in here, and so he went into estivation. He'd estivated before. It was never a big deal. He'd estivated for longer before. I honestly think it just got too cold. I managed to bring him out of it, but he was in a bit of a decline. I only got him to eat one time, and I had to force feed him to do it. When I checked on him this morning, he was dead. I know it's not like I've done a lot of videos that featured him or anything, but I'm making this video because I need to talk about him, talk about the good times, and not obsess over the bad, because I can't tell you how guilty I feel. I loved that frog. He was my first one ever. My first cold-blooded pet. I named him after the merchant from the video game Off by Mortis Ghost. It's a French video game. I was really into French at the time. I studied it for 6 years. And Zacharie was by far one of my favorite characters. He was a merchant who wore a mask with the face of a toad, and in the game there's this little story that you can find in a book about this ugly toad king who's slain by a masked hero. So when my sophomore year of college started up and I brought Zacharie's tank with me, my roommate and I nicknamed him the King. His name was always Zacharie, but anytime I would go to feed him, I'd just say, well, I'm gonna go feed the King. Zach was a grumpy boy. Never in a good mood, never happy to see me. I loved him a lot. Clumsy eater. A lot of Pac-Man frogs are. He'd nab at his food. Oftentimes he would miss and just end up eating dirt. Sometimes it would take several tries for him to actually get the food. Fed him all sorts of stuff. Crickets at first, because that's what the pet shop recommended, and then I found out they were just too fast for him, and it took hours to get him to eat because he couldn't catch the things, because he was big and dumb and lazy. He'd just sit there waiting for them, and then they'd go by and he'd be like, ah, and eat dirt. So we tried red wigglers and mealworms, and that worked, except I learned that mealworms have too much chitin, so you shouldn't feed them too often. And he stopped liking the red wigglers after a while. They emitted like a smell or a taste that he found unpalatable. Picky eater, I know. So we had to switch to night crawlers, but he was way too small to be eating full night crawlers, so I had to cut the worms in half. And the way they wriggled and writhed when I cut them, it was mortifying. I remember my roommate couldn't even look. She just noped on out. One time, when I was on campus, we ran out of worms, and I needed to feed him something. and there was a really big storm going on. Not enough to take out the power, obviously, but enough to force my mom to stay off the roads so she couldn't buy me more night crawlers. So we fed him chicken. I took a tiny piece of a chicken thigh and I cooked it with no oil and no seasonings, and I fed it to him with Tom's. He was fine. I mean, like, his next poop was a little bit bigger, but I don't think that was relevant or anything. He ate it quite happily. I remember being a little concerned. It was a bigger piece than I thought it was compared to him, and so I was worried he'd choke on it and that I'd killed him then and there. But no, he got it down alright. I only knew Zacharie was male because he vocalized. Female Pac-Man frogs don't vocalize, but Zacharie would make this little sound in the middle of the night and wake me up. So that's how I knew he was male. But if you look up videos of Pac-Man frogs vocalizing, you'll see a lot of videos where they tap the frog on the back or the butt and it automatically starts to vocalize. And that's something that the male frogs do to male frogs that are trying to mount them. It's the amphibian equivalent of no homo, right? So that the other frog would know, oh, this is a male I'm trying to mount, I'm not going to make any babies out of this, I should go find a female. Zach didn't do that when we tapped him on the back. He vocalized, so he was definitely male, but never when we tapped. Which means he had no problem with the idea of being mounted by a male frog. So obviously I thought of Alex Jones, and so we decided Zacharie was gay. I don't actually know if he was gay. I mean, I've heard that there's actually a chemical that can cause male frogs to, I don't know if they like become trans or if they actually exhibit like homosexual behavior. I didn't read the full article, I just thought it was funny that it existed. I'm not a herpetologist, guys. But yeah, he was Zacharie the gay frog, gay king. Loved him. How I mentioned I loved him. Like, so much. Like, I know he was just a frog, and probably did not have the intellectual capacity to love me back, but I loved that stupid frog. I think it was sometime in my Don't Starve Let's Play I mentioned he was exhibiting really strange behavior. He, like, would turn a quarter of his body practically inside out, and he looked uncomfy, like he was just wriggling like that. And, it scared the crap out of me. I thought he was dying. I, like, thought he had a parasite. He was just molting. I'd never owned a frog before. I didn't know. There were a few occasions where, I would actually be in the middle of kissing my partner, and Zacharie would just start to yell. Obviously he couldn't have known. I kept most of the walls of the tank covered up so that he wouldn't be too distracted by what was going on in the outside world. He just had a knack for timing, I think. He would just yell at the most inconvenient of times. Sometimes when I was recording videos, sometimes during that. It was always hilarious. We always laughed. Sometimes my roommate would just pop in to visit him. I'd get a, like, little knock on the door. Not too loud, because she's a very mild person. She'd knock very lightly, and sometimes I wouldn't hear her, and she'd have to knock again. I'd open the door and be like, yeah, what's up? And she was like, may I perhaps visit the king? We had some good times. He bathed in a little bowl. It was the bowl I ate cereal out of when I was like 2. He used to like fit so neatly in the little bottom of it too. And then he got big and he just sort of like, ah. I hope I have enough pictures of him for this video. I wasn't expecting him to decline so quickly, so I didn't think to take any last minute. I buried him outside my window because I kept the tank kind of nearby that. You can see the Costco bag over there, the green one. That's got his tank in it right now. I don't have it in me to clean out the substrate just yet, so it's just sitting there. But I buried him outside my window. My mom and I lit some joss sticks for him. I'm not particularly spiritual. I mean, I guess I am a little spiritual, but we always do that when we're dealing with loss, just as a way to feel better. I guess that's sort of what I'm doing now, is talking at something that's not really responding to me. I'm talking at my phone camera, just to get it out. I know there's nothing I could have done, and I keep trying to tell myself that, but I can't shake the feeling that I should have done more. But I mean, what was I going to do? Hug him to keep him warm? No, he would have hated that. I would have rolled over on him in my sleep and crushed the poor thing. So I'm coping by spoiling Leviathan. I miss him. I miss him a lot, but learning experience, right? That's what I'm telling myself. So the plan is spoil the heck out of Levi, save up some money, figure out a way to heat tanks when I have no power, for at least a few days. I'm just glad Levi's doing okay. I don't know what I would have done if they'd both died on me. He's skittish though. Levi used to be so easy to handle. I'm sure you guys remember when I first posted the video. I think it was during the CCSF, so I had to work him into that somehow, but he was just chilling out on my hand. He'd like crawl up my arm. No, he doesn't do that anymore. Ever since he hit gecko puberty, he's been really hard to handle. I'd like tap him on the side and he'd just bolt. Makes him kind of a flight risk, honestly. He's a good gecko. What can I say? He was a good frog. I'm thinking about getting a tarantula. That seems random, but I mean, I'm thinking about using his tank for a tarantula next. It's one of those horizontal 10-gallon tanks, so I think it would be ideal for a tarantula, or maybe like a scorpion, but my mother will throw a fit if I come home with a tarantula, so might have to wait a bit. I'm looking into maybe a White's tree frog for the next frog I get. Maybe a golden tree frog. I wish I could cohabitate something with Leviathan. That way they could just share a tank, but folks on Reddit advised me against cohabitating. Apparently geckos don't get lonely. I don't know how true that is. I think he looks kind of lonely in there, but I'll take their words for it. Maybe I'm just looking for something to fill the hole in my heart that Zach left. He's been there for me through a lot. He even went to college with me. Let me tell you, it was stressful transporting him. We'd stick his tank in the back, but I would never let him ride back there because I was scared something would shift and he'd get squashed. So we took him out and put him in a little cup, the same cup he came home in, that was quickly too small for him. And I kept him in my lap as we rode. Anyway, I'm gonna clean the glass of Levi's tank. It's looking a little dirty. I might not, like, be super keen to record very soon. Or maybe I will be super keen to record because it's a good distraction. But, either way, I guess expect irregular uploads. I might take a break. I might go full force into it. I've got an exam on Friday. I really shouldn't be recording, but who knows? Yeah. I'm gonna take care of my gecko. Once again, thank you everybody so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.